We're joined by Marama Davidson from the Green Party. Kia ora, Marama.
Kia ora, Josh. Kia ora, Liana. I'm so rapt to be here.
Yeah,
Well,
tēnā koe.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously busy time for you.
Yeah, it is. What city am I in? So I wake up not quite knowing where I am, but it's sort of fun. It's real fun. Being on the ground with everyone is actually really both energising and sapping.
Yeah. Oh, great.
But I'm enjoying it.
Okay, well, let's get into it. I wondered, every day we do our top three. We change it every day. I wondered if you could tell me your top three favourite Green Party policies.
Free dental for everyone, not just those under 20. Us oldies need good healthcare too. And student allowance, universal, increased to $385. Free public transport for student and young people and disabled people. Have I gone
That's
through?
three. That's
three.
we've got the
You can
dental.
keep going.
So just to clarify, dental, free student allowance,
Universal student allowance
for everyone.
that is increased. Yep.
And one more.
Public transport, free public
transport for students and disabled.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like making me choose my favourite babies out of 8 babies. Like that's really unfair, but I'll go with what you said.
Yeah, you do have a big whānau, don't you, Marama? That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. I'm very, very proud and very, very fortunate to have our 6 children and our 2 mokopuna. And so I feel pretty lucky, I have to say. I'm surrounded by a whole lot of beautiful babies in love and one very special dog.
The favourite of the family.
Yes, the best human out of all of them. The one that unconditionally loves me the most.
Oh, beautiful. No talking back.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Just full of love every time.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I did want to kind of go into your whānau. I know that your nan was a part of your inspiration. What was it about your nan? And sadly, she's not here with us today. But what was it about her that has inspired you to do what you are doing today?
Oh my gosh, my nana. Just despite incredible trauma and hardship in her life, stayed so staunch to justice. Like even after everything that she was part of the generation who were violently beaten for speaking our own language. She was ripped away. We lost most of our land. She came from the Hokianga down to Otara and suppressed her Māori identity because she felt so traumatised that her children were going to have to confront violence as well if they were proud of their language. And despite all of that hardship, she was proud to the end of her days of being Māori, and so she skipped her children and she didn't pass on the language to them, but she would often take me in the corner and teach me how to do the poi and teach me things. So she was sort of saying, you know what, I am not going to let our identity die. I'm just going to leave little bits of my legacy behind. And despite everything, she was committed to recognising justice, and she instilled that in all of us.
Oh, tēnā koe. She'll be so proud of you.
Thank you.
Speaking a little bit, I mean, it's sort of a weird segue, but speaking a little bit along violence and things like that, it was a few years ago that James Shaw, your co-leader, got punched on his way to work in the face. And one of the things that I think disappoints me the most about the way that our politicians are treated in this country is the bullying and abuse that they have to endure. And you see it all the time on social media. I think from a Christian perspective, it's quite disgusting, and I see even people that identify as lovers of Jesus also act in this way. How do you deal with like verbal abuse, bullying on social media, all of that stuff? Because it's a job that is essentially a thankless task, really. How do you deal with that? It's
definitely a privilege to have this job, and I'll never stop believing that. And I think the day I stop believing that is the day I should give up and go home. It is disgusting from a human point of view as well as a Christian point of view. How I deal with it is I have to protect my own sanity and not engage with it. And I have to reserve my energy for positive actions and positive campaigning. I also, though, it's not just about me, I need to protect my communities and my social media pages from it as well. So I indiscriminately am really good with the block and delete and the mute and the sign. I mean, I think we have to understand that there is also organised trolling,
Yeah.
and we have to be wary that that is designed to get your spirit trampled into the floor. It is designed to distract you. It is designed to distract your supporters. If any of my supporters are listening, please don't engage with the trolls. It also technologically sends the algorithms in a way that favours that trolling and hate and invites more of it. So we should just ignore, we should block, and then we should all go home and cuddle the dog.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Really good
That's my
advice.
favourite one. I need to get myself a dog.
On that same note, when you're like arguing with other politicians and it gets quite heated, especially when there's like debates going, which there is at the moment on TV and things like that, do you get like a lump in your throat and stuff like that? Because whenever like I start to argue with someone, like on TV, it makes it look so, they always look so confident when they're like, you're in my lane, you cut me off or whatever. But if you try to do that in real life, very difficult. You're always like,
they're all lying. We're all lying. It
So,
is-
yeah,
it
do you
is
get, like,
not
G'd
a
up and
piece-
you, like-
Oh, I have a black cloud over me for a week before any speech, any debate, particularly where I think I'm going to go into an environment to have to face some very toxic, harmful views.
Yeah.
I just have a black cloud over me, and that's actually very bad. I have to change my attitude and look forward to the opportunity to highlight my positive vision and values of love and care is how I have to reframe it. And because I'm not speaking to them, I am not speaking to the hatred values. I'm speaking to people who are really wanting politicians to offer hope and positive emotions, and that's how I have to get through that. Because if I had to prepare myself to just be engaging with politicians whose values I really don't support, I wouldn't turn up. I'd just be like, no, this is a waste of my time. So I have to remember who else I'm talking to.
Is there anything that you do in your own time to collect yourself or like look after your wairoa?
Yes, I talk to that Nana all the time. She has, her and my papa have got the Pride of Place photo in my Wellington office, and I've had it there. It was gifted to me by my uncle when I became an MP. And so I've had it there the whole time. So I'm always communicating with her, and always, someone asked me the other day, what do you think your Nana says back? And because I said, I'm always asking her for help. And they said, what do you think she says back? I think she says back, you don't bloody need my help.
You can figure it out on your own.
Yeah. But I'll talk to her anyway. And it's just to ground a sense of groundedness. And I try and just find a space of calm and quiet, and then just focus on having fun, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and cuddle the dog.
Yeah, and cuddle the dog.
We always come back to cuddling the dog.
Absolutely. That's the answer to everything. That and pancakes is pretty much the answer to
pancake.
everything.
What a great combination.
Just circling back a little bit to one of your three favourite of the green policies for this time round, which is free public transport for students. Now, I wondered if I could share with you my public
Please
transport
do.
story. So I was like, I'm going to save the environment and save some money. I'm going to start catching the bus to work. Now, it took me 3 times as long to get to work, but I was like, hey, if I do that a few times a week, then that's going to reduce my, impact on the environment. So I thought it's a really good thing to do. So I was doing it, and it was really kind of going okay for a while, and then the buses got really unreliable, and so I'd get to work, and then I would at like 8 o'clock try to get a bus home and not be able to, and I'd have, it kept on
totally.
getting cancelled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I gave up, and now I just drive my car to work every day.
Yeah, that's so sad. We need it to be better than that.
Yeah, so what is the Green Party going to do for people like me that want to catch public transport, want to reduce their impact on their environment, but it's so hard?
Make buses more affordable, more reliable, cleaner. So you'd have more buses coming through, you'd have better routes, it would be far more affordable, and it would go to far more places. So that has been the Greens' consistent policy priority for every election, I think, where we would invest billions more into good public transport, but also safer and more cycleways and walkways to give people like yourself choices. I know my daughter, who works in Auckland City and lives in Mangere, after a week of driving in, it was too expensive and she was just stuck in traffic. For her, the bus does end up working out better, but I know it's not the same across Auckland. So our plan is to absolutely give people a reason to leave their car at home and get to work healthier, less stressed, and actually faster and with more money in their pocket. But that it takes massive commitment when you've got political parties who are just pushing for more roads, more highways, more extra lanes. That doesn't get you out of your stuck car in the traffic.
So on that note, so like I think if people are listening right now, they probably really resonate with that policy. Like more public transport, great. Like more chance for me to save some money and save the environment at the same time. Big tick, big thumbs up. Could you please explain for people who don't know how, like, why voting for Green, which is a minor party, why that's a good idea? And can you explain how you make things happen if the Green Party isn't the party that, quote unquote, wins the election? Does that question make sense?
It totally does. We can look at our record in the past two governments. The Greens are the only political party to defy political history by increasing our support. We did it for the first time in 2020 and we're doing it again, even more support. It is unheard of because we've been able to show people that with even a little bit of Green influence in government, we've been able to achieve the most climate action in the past 6 years than any government has had in 30 years. We've been able to achieve the most frontline funding to prevention violence community agencies and coalface agencies that brought them back to 10 years of neglected funding. We've been able to achieve the country's first ever comprehensive strategy, 25-year strategy to eliminate family violence and sexual violence, the biggest opportunity we've ever had, and so much more. Imagine what we could do with even more influence actually at the cabinet table. We've shown that we can work with Labour, but we've also shown we've maintained our own independent political voice so that we can call them out too when we need to. And as people can see, Labour have been copying our homework, but only to the B- standard instead of the A+. So they took our dental policy, but they restricted it to people only under 30 years. They took our food in schools policy, but they didn't expand it to more schools that we are wanting to. And again and again and again. So our ideas are good, they're enduring, they're achievable. Other political parties are trying to copy them, but it is only the Greens who will make sure that you have got the income that you need no matter whether you're out of work or studying, that make sure that your home will be cheaper to heat and cleaner, that make sure you will have good public transport, make sure that you have got free dental, make sure that you've got an ocean for your mokopuna instead of the way that we are trashing our environment at the moment. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm really proud of.
How do you feel about not seeing any change in this country in your lifetime? Does it make what you're doing still worth it?
Oh, you mean in terms of governments and the changes? I want to be really clear to all of your listeners. We've only just started seeing the transformative seeds in the past 6 years. Some of those examples is the climate change work. We need to keep going in that same direction, and the change will be that we continue and get even stronger in the direction of strong climate action to reduce our pollution, in the direction of prevention violence, family violence. We've only just started recently, and those won't seem like big changes to people right now, but they are going to have both immediate and long-lasting positive impacts. What people will see, though, is very quick change if we have a national-led government, because they immediately are going to banish the support for people who are struggling the most on the lowest incomes. They are going to immediately wipe out a lot of the good programs that are actually just starting to show fruit right now. They're going to reopen dirty climate exploration fossil fuel and dirty fuel exploration and activity. So all of those things people will notice, and they are changes that will not be good for anybody.
Okay, last question from me, Marama Davidson, co-leader of the Green Party. You mentioned climate change. Lots and lots of young people are really, really concerned about climate change. We saw that with the high schoolers protesting and striking from school. However, 18 to 24-year-olds are the lowest representation of voter turnout. Why do you think this is, and how can it change?
We need to have a culture of voting, and so make it 16 for a start. I mean, I've been talking at primary schools lately. I actually am all in favour of make it 7, to be quite honest, because they really know their stuff. They know their stuff more than the rest of our generations, if I'm really honest. But make it 16, bring the voting age down, because it is those very people who are going to have to bear the decisions that we are making for their world. Also, in our schools, there can be a massive role played there about why it's important to vote, to engage, to make submissions to government, etc., etc. And also, we have to stop politicians from acting like clowns so that people shrug their shoulders and walk away and say, that's got nothing to do with my life, it's not going to help. And I'm here with the message. For example, just in the past year, for the first time in history, New Zealand actually reduced its emissions. For the first time ever, we are finally on the actual right track, and it has taken so much work to turn a giant, giant, giant ship around, but we can actually show that we can do that for you, especially those very young people, and make your world better. But we are going to have to keep going, especially with Greens in government.
Marama Davidson, tēnā koe, thank you so much for joining us on Life FM's afternoon show.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou. Kia ora, Josh. Kia ora, Liana. Thank you.
Kia ora, Marama.